Let's stick with the kicking game. It can't be good when your offensive coordinator has to think, do I even play knowing that I can't kick the football at this point? What do I do in terms of third downs?
Yeah, it's tough. It's obviously it has to get fixed. It needs to get better. But it's just not the kicker's fault. It's the whole operation. Right. I mean, that is it's a 1,000, 2, 1,000. That ball needs to be gone. Your edge guys can't block long enough to keep the corners from crashing in. But when the snap's low, I mean, Buschini's done a great job of actually collecting it and at least getting it down. But the timing of it has just been off. Even when the holds have been okay, he's hooked them, and other than that, the extra points have been okay. Yep. They've been solid, they've been consistent. But you can see there, the snap and just the operation time, it's off. But that's first and foremost. You got to get the snap. What's the most important play in offensive football? The QB center exchange. You have to have it. So you have to have the snap down in the kicking game to get it down. Otherwise, you can't operate no matter who's back there in the kicking game.
And your punter or your holder can't have 3 tackles, on special teams.
Yeah. So I think outside of the mechanics of place kicking, coverage has not been good. And I think for Nebraska, you maybe have to get into roster management and see what you want to do with your special teams because they have enough depth. It just depends on who they want to utilize and how quickly you can get to 4 games. You start with the first punt, and that should have been down at the 1. And gunners are having a hard time, making plays on punts. And I said last week you had 3 punts for 151 yards, but you only had a 30-yard net. So you're in the bottom 90s or high 100s in terms of kickoff coverage. So the coverage teams have to get better too. It's not necessarily just when toe meets leather for Nebraska.
Overall efficiency of special teams right now is 129th in the country. Let's get in the offense because at halftime, Nebraska couldn't feel horrible. I know they missed the field goals, but they were moving the ball up and down the field.
Yeah, that wasn't it. Moving the ball was not the issue. Obviously getting points in the red zone. Yeah. Listen, I'll be honest, and I've told many people the last couple of days, it's like, oh my gosh, the first half struggles. And it's like, well, it's always funny now. People were concerned about second half struggles. Yeah. Obviously, maybe they got that taken care of. They obviously did a good job in Purdue in the second half. But they don't get the OPI on the 4th and 1 pass to Rahmir. I think that first half's vastly different. Yep. I think momentum is a huge thing in college football, and they would have had it right there. Blocked field goals probably don't happen. You just get the momentum going, and you're probably up 13-0 at half, maybe 14-0 at half. If you get that 4th and 1, the LPI, we all know was bogus anyway. So momentum's huge. You just got to take advantage of it, and it's hard. I can't imagine being Coach Rule or Satterfield and trying to call a game where you aren't sure if your team can kick it unless it's an extra point or inside the 20-yard line, and that's tough.
How do you feel the team is running the ball outside of what Ja'Cory Barney is doing with some of that jet sweep stuff?
Well, downhill run game definitely needs some work, but listen, I think part of running is finding creases. I think Nebraska's winning at the point of attack in a lot of those offensive runs, and I think it's up to backs to find creases. And we saw a little bit of a wrinkle with Emmett Johnson getting some more snaps, but I'm not one of those people that, you don't get Emmett Johnson's life without somebody like Dowdell in it. So I think you need a complement of both running backs. Nebraska just has to figure out how to play to both their strengths.
And we leave out sometimes talking about Ja'Cory Barney's plays because people call them trick plays or whatever, special plays. Well, let's watch him. This is really good blocking, right? We're seeing them practicing this well. And the things that are that Raiola's doing in terms of his ball handling, he's really good at this as a freshman.
And listen, nobody runs toss anymore. You don't get 48, 49 sweep and pitch. You need ways to get the ball to the edge like this without running toss.
Yep.
Defense
Look how good
is
the
getting
downfield
run.
blocking is.
Borkature, just a stud. So, this is part of it. There's no gadget to it.
Right, that's what I was trying to tell people. This is a part of a lot of offenses. If you go through the NFL, if you go through high school, you see this. This is, ever since Oregon started doing this heavy, everybody's done it.
Yeah, it's timing is a huge thing, and you got to get the motion has to get timed up. The ball handling has to get timed up. Yeah. But the edge blocking, and the wide receivers have been, they've gotten better. I'll say in the last 2 weeks. Colorado, the coaches weren't too happy with it. But just the operation there with Raiola, that's a tough handoff, getting out there and getting the timing of it. But the edge blocking has to be there. The crease, right, and the guy leading up and through the crease, like Borkature did on that first one, it's a timing of everything has to be perfect. Otherwise, guys will shoot the gap and make plays in the backfield.
How gadget did we think it was when Melvin Gordon was going for 400?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know.
I mean, just the revisionist history is incredible. It's
Yeah.
just part of run game.
I'm with you. That's what it is now. Let's talk about the other side of the ball because, again, there were people talking about the black shirts not playing well. But when you look at the stats at the end, and you look at what happened overall, what they were trying to do, the black shirts played well, right?
Yeah, I thought they were much improved. I thought the things that hurt them against Northern Iowa and Illinois were cleaned up. Guys just they seemed to be in control. They seemed to be in good positions. There was an edge. If a guy was supposed to spill or force, they were going to do that. It just seemed clean. It just seemed, it was always, the flow of the play was forced into your defenders. There wasn't guys, sitting back. Your safeties and corners weren't put in bad spots. A few missed tackles here and there, but overall, I mean, Maccabee's a big dude. Maccabee's a hard guy to tackle, and I thought they was a much improved thing. The defensive line was much improved. The linebackers much improved. Having Javen Wright back there to come out and play after his first game of the season, much improved. So I think everything as a whole, they've taken a step forward instead of another step back, like you maybe could have seen after the Illinois game. But hats off to the seniority of that defense to kind of get things going in the right direction.
You look forward to what that secondary is going to look like when Tommy Hill comes back. Now that Sierra Wright's got some experience, you see guys back there playing better.
Yeah, they have some versatility. I think Nebraska's looking for a little bit more dynamic play, maybe from the safety spot, as it's kind of still evolving. But some of it is it's been baptism by fire, right? You take a guy like Buford and you've had to move him to corner, and now that little Mario is back playing some safety, and you have some versatility now in terms of what you want to do with guys. I think they just need to settle in.
Yeah, you look at 5 sacks, right? And this is what Nebraska's been the last 2 years. They'll go games where they don't really have any sacks, and then they're getting a bunch of them in the game. What'd you think about the pass rush? What Ty Robinson did on that one play, splitting
it was
the
great,
double
splitting
team.
it. You kind of ricocheted off the tackle, get him split right here. I mean, it's fantastic. That's a thing of beauty right there.
Yeah.
Kai Wallen was good. James Williams was great.
Pass rusher, isn't he?
Yeah. MJ Sherman, great. It's just not one guy, right? It's a lot of guys are able to create the rush, and I mean, you get interior. That's where sacks happen. You have to have your interior guys play well because you can always win on the edge. Let's say it's 8 times out of 10, but if he has a pocket to climb into, you're never going to get there. But your inside guys, Nash, Ty, have to do a good job of keeping that quarterback in the pocket. So there is no room to step up, and that's what they did a fantastic job of on Saturday.
Yeah, I thought Nash had a really good game.
A lot better job with bend, right? The old hula hoop drill.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Very good, Ben.